in case you don't know about this already, I am using an alt account to help all of you guys redeem your free structure decks. So if you haven't already, go to the description or the pinned comment and go to the linked video and post your friend code there. And after a few days, I will be beginning to redeem as many of your codes as I could until I hit the limit. So go there before it's too late. And also, as a side note, I said at the beginning of the month that I am going to try to make daily videos if I could, and there's even a day where I made 2 videos. It is a bit hard to keep up with that currently, especially because major release is Silk Song. And even though I'm not that big of a gamer myself, I pretty much only play Duel Links and Master Duel and like Minecraft, I guess. I have been playing Silk Song and it's really fun. So I will try my best to still make as many videos as I could, because I still think making videos is pretty fun. But yeah, I'll try. I'll try my best. So in the last video, we covered the hero structure deck, which is probably a better deck if you're a new player to be playing when you first get into the game, because that deck is a lot more simpler, it's a lot more straightforward, there's a clear end goal, the skill does a whole lot of hand holding, so you don't have to think a lot. But if you are experienced and want to play like a more difficult deck, then Sky Striker is probably the deck that's better suited for you. Or if you're a new player in Duel Links but you already have like prior experience playing the TCG or like Master Duel, then you can probably get into Sky Strikers and play this deck, because this deck is a lot more complicated, but it is a lot more rewarding. And this deck is tier 2 if you look at the tier list currently at the time of recording. So after you get some upgrades, you get a third engage, you get some better generic links, and then get like some of the other striker spells that aren't in the structure deck, then you can build a pretty good Sky Striker deck that can get you pretty far. And also it will only get more support in the future, because Sky Strikers, they literally just got new support like 2 months ago in the TCG. So yeah, pretty good deck to be playing if you are up for more complicated deck than heroes. So this is the structure deck as is from the friend code campaign. You need your friend to reach stage 7 in order for you to get the structure deck, otherwise you only get the hero one. And I guess, the rush duel one. But yeah, if the guy who entered your code gets to stage 7, you get this deck as well. And like both of you guys get this deck. And I mean, you get 2 engage, which is less than 3, but it's still really, really good. And the deck as is, and with like a tiny bit of modifications, is already playable, and as of course with the skill. So let's have a look at what you can do with this deck without opening any boxes. So there's a few upgrades you can immediately do to this deck to make it a lot better. First of all, of course, you need Widow Anchor, because you don't get it from the free structure deck, but you can get 2 copies of it from a bundle, which is pretty cheap and also guaranteed to obtain 2 copies of Widow Anchor. And the deck's kind of like missing a lot if you don't play Widow Anchor. It's like pretty important. And like probably your main way of interrupting your opponent going first. And also you can get a copy of Reinforcement of the Army, also available from a bundle in the shop. So all of these are from bundles that give you a few card packs and also a guaranteed card. So both Reinforcement of the Army and the 2 copies of Widow Anchor can be obtained that way, and also the Kagari. Again, the structure deck doesn't give you Kagari, but you can get it from a special set as well. But even if you don't have Kagari, it's not too big of a deal, because the skill that we are using does give you a free Kagari. But a Kagari is so good that having 2 copies is just very good in general, so you would still want it even if the skill already gives you one. And yeah, the extra deck is pretty similar. And we don't even need to fill in all 9 slots, because realistically you're just gonna make the Sky Striker links anyway, and the free to obtain link monsters aren't very good, so you just might as well not just play Tornado Dragon. It's like probably the best Xyz that you can play, and then once you have more upgrades, you can fill in the remaining slots and maybe replace some of the Sky Striker links with better link monsters. And I will cover an expensive version, like an upgraded version, later on in the video. So if once you get more of the better cards to upgrade this deck, you know where to go. So yeah, the deck is pretty similar to the structure deck with a few changes. Of course, we have the bundles that we mentioned, and also we have 2 copies of Spiritual Entanglement as generic spells that get rid of monsters, because Sky Strikers is a deck that is probably a lot better going second than it is going first, at least in this version specifically, because in more expensive versions, you can make a variety of rank 4s, like a Gallant Granite, or to search a copy of Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and then that is a pretty good card to have going first to both protect your back row, and also just to summon out if you need to, and then set Engage from your deck. Other rank 4s you can make are like Tornado Dragon, and then you can protect it with a copy of Ego Booster or Abyss Dweller to shut off graveyard decks. But that's more things about the expensive version, which we will talk about in detail later. For now, let's have a look at the free-to-play, or like the friend code version first. We'll start with the skill, because the skill is a very important part of the deck. So the skill gives you the free field spell. That's why even though the free friend code campaign deck gives you free field spells, we don't need to play a single one of them, because the skill just gives it to you for free, guaranteed. It straight up just places it on your field. So yeah, the skill gives you all of these link monsters, 1 of each. If you have 3 copies of it already, it doesn't add it. So that doesn't really matter in this version because you don't have 3 copies of anything. But let's say if you have 3 copies of Shizuku in your extra deck, it doesn't add the 4th one. So keep that in mind. And also, it gets you the field spell. Let's go cover the field spell real quick. You can target 1 other card you control, excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and then add 1 excavated Sky Striker card to your hand, and then you shuffle the rest back to your deck. And if you excavate a Sky Striker card, you send the targeted card to your graveyard. So even if you excavate something and then you choose to not add it to your hand, as long as 1 of the excavated cards is a Sky Striker card, you will be sending the targeted card to the graveyard. So expect to always need to send something for cost. But there is a way to get around it, which I will be showing in the replays, where you can combo this with Sky Striker Ace Ray, where you can kind of mitigate the cost that you need to send for your field spell. And also a pretty useful effect is if it is sent to the graveyard, if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from your deck. So it is also a way to just get out more guys to your field. Let's continue looking at the skill. You can send up to 2 Sky Striker cards from your hand or field, either face up or face down, to the graveyard, and then draw a card. So this not only just gives you more consistency because it gives you a draw, it also puts more spells into your graveyard, at which this archetype really wants 3 or more spells in the graveyard because it unlocks the bonus effects of all of your spells. So having a way to just send spells to the graveyard without needing to activate them is really, really good. So with the skill out of the way, I guess we can kind of go into the cards in detail with the skill kind of in the background. And so Sky Strikers is basically a deck that's around activating spells, using them over and over again, and then having 1 Link 1 monster, and sometimes a higher Link monster, but usually it's a Link 1. So you can basically transform from 1 copy of a Link 1 to a different Link 1, because they're all Link 1s, they can link into each other. So it's basically like 1 monster transforming between different between different forms and then gaining different effects, and then also activating spell cards to clear out your opponent's stuff. And because of the amount of spells that we have that clear your opponent's cards, this deck is also really, really good going second. So there's a lot of situations where this deck is even better going second than going first, because some of the spells are normal spells and you can only use them during your turn. Okay, with that said, let's have a look at the cards in the deck. 2 copies of Ray and 1 copy of Rose, that's all you get from the structure deck. Ray is a lot better and also works pretty well with the skill giving you a field spell, and the field spell has a combo with Ray. Again, I'll talk about that when we show the replays. And also this card just comes back from the graveyard whenever your link monsters are removed from the field by your opponent in any way. So it just gives you a lot of grind game and helps you tag out into different forms of the links. And sometimes even deals double damage because you can attack with Ray and then tag out to a link and then attack again. For the spells, 2 engage. Obviously, if you have 3, you should play 3, but the deck only gives you 2. 2 Widow Anchor, it's a monster negate and also a quick play spell. 2 Spiritual Entanglement as a generic spell to get rid of monsters. It comes back during the end phase, but you can usually win before the end phase comes back around. And being able to banish a monster instead of destroying is very useful sometimes. 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army to search any warrior. Usually it's going to be searching Ray. And also it's a spell, so it gives you more spells in the graveyard for the bonus effects of the spells. So Engage searches anything, but if you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard, you can draw a card. So oftentimes when you want to use Engage, you want to have at least 3 spells so that you get the extra draw. And also, none of these Sky Striker cards are once per turn, so you can activate multiple Engages during 1 turn, and that's like a very common thing that you do when you play this deck. Widow Anchor negates, but also if you have 3 or more spells, it also takes away that monster. And be careful that when you take that monster will end up in your main monster zone. And all of your Sky Striker spells require you to not have a monster in the main monster zone. So if you have multiple Widow Anchors, you either use them all at the same time, or you can only use 1 to steal and then the others to negate without stealing. Otherwise, you will disable yourself from using your other copies of your Sky Striker spells. I will not try to go to too much detail, because if I go into too much detail, this video will take a very long time, but I'll still give kind of like a broad understanding of what these cards do. But if you want to actually understand what this deck is truly capable of, I suggest you try out this deck and test it against like bots or something, and then try to like get more of an understanding of how the cards work with each other and kind of like how you sequence the cards. We're playing 3 copy of Multiroll. The structure deck gives you 3. People usually play 2. We will be playing 2 in the upgraded version, but in this version we want more consistency, right? So we play 3 copies, and if we draw 1 copy, we can use it to send the field spell, and then the field spell gives you a copy of Ray. So this is kind of like a way that you can get into Ray as well. So let's actually talk about what this card does. So this card is really, really good. You always want it on your field, even if you go first or second. You don't need it that much going second, but it's still really, really good. So once per turn, you can send 1 other card to the graveyard and prevent your opponent from responding to your spells. This is really good because when you, for example, target your opponent's set back row to destroy them, they cannot activate that card in response. They cannot chain that set spell or trap to your spell, which means you can safely destroy them without needing to worry about them activating them in response. And the second effect is like insanely good when you go first, which is that once per turn during the end phase, you can set Sky Striker spells with different names from the graveyard up to the number of Sky Striker spell cards you activated the turn while this card is face up on your field. So it basically just resets everything that you activated this turn. It doesn't even have to be the same cards that you activated. You can set back different cards as long as it's the same number as the things that you have activated during the turn. There's a little trick you can use with this card along with Shizuku, which I will also show in the replay, that allows you to basically set back the things that you search during your end phase. So usually you can only set spells during your main phase, but with this little 2-card trick, you can add a card to your hand during your end phase and then immediately set it from your hand. The other spells, we were playing 2 copies of Jamming Waves. This is the spell and trap card removal. Outfit Burners is monster removal. 2 copies of Shark Cannon as our graveyard removal, also a quick play spell, so you can use it during your opponent's turn. And 1 copy of Eagle Booster as a way to protect our monster, especially when we go first, so that we don't lose to our opponent if our opponent has like a lot of monsters to push for damage. The extra deck is pretty much the same as what you get from the campaign structure deck, but we added a copy of Kagari because you need Kagari. And this card, when you special summon it, can add back a Sky Striker spell from your graveyard. It is by far the best Sky Striker Link monster because it helps you add back very, very powerful spells like Engage, because none of these cards have a once per turn on it, and you can very easily snowball out of control when you get to search a card and then draw a card for free as a bonus, and then when you activate this card multiple times, it just gets really, really good. Shizuku is probably the second best one. During the end phase, after you make this card on your field, you add a Sky Striker spell from your deck to your hand. So adding a spell card in the end phase doesn't seem very powerful because, well, it's the end phase, you can't really use the spell card. But there's a trick that you can do with Multiroll, which again I'll show later, that allows you to immediately use the thing that you have added to your hand. A copy of Sky Striker Ace Zeke. This card is a lot better in this version, in this like cheaper version compared to the upgraded version, because this is the main way that you will be pushing for damage. This card can banish a monster on the field temporarily when it is link summoned, and also once per turn send a card you control to the graveyard to boost its attack by 1,000. So when you boost its attack, it becomes 2,500, and then when you have another ray on your field, that's 15. So 25 plus 15, that is 4,000 and exact lethal damage. So once you clear everything from the field, or most of the time you will be dealing enough damage by using a ray plus a Zeke that is boosted by Zone Effect. So 2 copies of Hayate. You don't need 2, you can play 0 because the skill just gives you 1 anyway, but because again this is like the cheap version, so there's not a lot we can play in the extra deck anyway, so we might as well play it. This card can attack directly, and also after it battles, after damage calculation, you can send any Sky Striker card from the deck to the graveyard. It's not very good in Duel Links because we don't have main phase 2, so you can't just attack it and go to main phase 2 and add the thing that you sent. But being able to attack directly is pretty good. Also, finally, a copy of Sky Striker is Kaina. This card is made during your opponent's turn primarily, using the quick effect of Ray to tag into this card, and then you can use its effect targeting one of your opponent's monsters, and that monster cannot attack until the end of the turn. Otherwise, this card's not very good. So once you have more resources, you can upgrade your deck into a better deck, and this deck, as it stands right now, is currently tier 2 in the format at the time of recording. And of course, if you can afford a third engage, you should always go for the third engage as soon as you can, because this card, not only is it just good in general, it also gets a lot better by having a third copy, because the field spell that you get from your skill, it excavates the top 3 cards of your deck and then adds an excavated Sky Striker to your hand. So having 3 copies is just a lot more consistent and gives you a much higher chance of actually getting an engage to your hand by using the excavation effect of Area 0. And other than that, we can add kind of an Xyz engine, basically. So this deck can make rank 4s pretty easily when you go first, where to make rank 4 to kind of help you going first. And as I said during the previous deck profile, we can play Tornado Dragon, Galleon Granite to search Lord of the Heavenly Prison to protect your back row and also set Engage if you need to, and Abyss Dweller that shuts down graveyard-focused decks. So that is kind of your main game plan going first. So we are playing one Lord of the Heavenly Prison to kind of combo with that. And you don't actually need 2 copies of Ray in the upgraded version. You can play just 1 copy and then play 2 copies of Linkage. Most people play 2 copies. I only own 1 copy, so I'm playing 1 Linkage and 2 Rays. But if you have 2 Linkage, you should probably remove 1 Ray and play a 2nd Linkage. Surgical Striker Hamp is treated as a Sky Striker card, so you can search it pretty easily, and can just tribute over any of your opponent's monster and summon it to your opponent's field. It's kind of like a Lava Golem or a Kaiju, and it's also like a lot easier to add to your hand just because it's treated as a Sky Striker card. So once you summon it to your opponent's side of the field, it's a lot more easy to get rid of compared to, say, something like the first Dark Lord, which has like a protection effect. So you can just get rid of it, summon this guy to your opponent's field, and it's just a sitting duck until you decide to remove it. So other than that, we are playing some other Sky Striker spells that can come up. We're playing 1 copy of Vector Blast, a copy of Scissors Cross to summon back level 4 Sky Striker, because that helps us make a copy of the rank 4 of our choice. So just having a spell that gives us a free level 4 is just pretty good. And for the extra deck, we're playing a lot less Sky Strikers because the skill gives you 4 Sky Striker links anyway. So we're just playing 1 copy of the best ones. We're playing 1 Kagari, 1 Shizuku, 1 Zeke, because the skill doesn't give you Zeke, so we have to still play it. Other than the Xyz, we're playing 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Ningirsu. Ningirsu is pretty good in this deck because its summoning requirements are pretty easy to meet. It requires 2 plus link monsters. And because this deck plays a lot of Link 1 monsters, it's pretty easy to have a Link 2 like Nightmare Phoenix plus a Link 1 like Kagari, and then you just make this card, and then you can use it to send one of your own spells that you can just set to your field to fuel the removal effect of your Ningirsu. This removal is not targeting and also doesn't destroy, so it's a really good form of removal if you can pull it off. So 1 Raster Liger, I like to play this card in Sky Strikers because it helps you push for game. After you make a link free, you can use a link free plus any of your opponent's monster. Maybe you stole it with like a Widow Anchor or a Shark Cannon, and you can make this card and then target the link free in your graveyard, and then it gains its attack, so it has more than 4,000 attack, and then you can just attack full game. So that's pretty much it for the 2 deck profiles. Let's actually have a look at some games because, well, this deck is not easy, so I'll try to explain as much as I could in actual replays. So this deck is a deck that's a lot better going second, but if you go first, there's a few tricks that you need to know if you play this deck. So first of all, when we go first, we're gonna immediately set a field spell. So what we did here is basically we used the effect of the field spell targeting the Ray, and then we chained the effect of Ray to tribute itself so that you can tag out into a link, and then you can still activate the effect of the field spell. So I think the recording just like skipped when the effect activated, so let's roll back and just watch this again. So I don't know what happened with the recording, but here we are again. Let's see this again. So this is really important to know if you play this deck. One of the 2 kind of combos that you can do with like how the cards interact with each other. So you can go field spell, target Ray, and then Ray Chainlink to tribute itself. So in order to do this, I think you need to go to your settings, this is what you have to do when you play this deck, is you go to the settings, you have to choose card position. Manual 2 is, I don't think that matters too much, but you need to go self-chain on. This is very important. And activation order must be manual because of the second combo that we will be talking about after this one. And activation confirmation should be on toggle button because that allows you to chain things to your own things if you need to. So yeah, that's pretty much the important settings that you have to go if you play this deck. So that allows, like with those settings, it allows you to go field spell, target your guy, and chain to tribute your array, and then you can go excavate 3 cards, and then you add to your hand. But because the field spell only sends to the graveyard after you add a card to your hand, so even though like Ray is no longer on the field after you target the Ray, you can still add a card to your hand, and then it just doesn't send anything to the graveyard. So you basically just you prevented yourself from losing a card for no reason. So we're gonna add just anything that we can find. So we're gonna use the skill to just send the field spell to the graveyard and then draw a card. We draw into a copy of Multiroll, which is a really good card that we want to have going first. So we're gonna link and make it Kagari. Usually you want to add back a copy of Engage if we drew an Engage, but because we're only playing 2 copies, it's pretty common that you don't have it. So we're gonna add back the field spell instead. And then we're gonna link again. We're gonna make a copy of Shizuku. Shizuku is going to add a copy of Widow Anchor. So here is the second combo, the second interaction that you have to know about. This is, I think, called the Shizuku Shuffle. That's like the name that the community gave this 2-card combo. This is a 2-card interaction that allows you to set the thing that you added from Shizuku, because Shizuku only adds during the end phase. As you can see, it's the end phase. You can't set this during your end phase unless you do what I am about to do. So we're gonna leave 1 slot open so that we can set the thing that we add. So we're gonna go Shizuku, add a Widow Anchor, and then right after it, we're gonna turn the toggle on. As I said, you go to the settings, you turn the toggle on. Just a toggle button, you turn it on so that immediately after you use Shizuku, you can activate your Widow Anchor to target your own Shizuku, and then because now you activated a spell card while Multiroll is on your field, you can now, it's still the end phase, right? You can now use Multiroll to set back the Widow Anchor that you just activated. So that is 3 effects, basically, all in a very specific order that allows you to set the Widow Anchor that you added during the end phase. So as long as you don't have another Widow Anchor in your graveyard, the Shizuku will be able to do that to search Widow Anchor, because if you have another Widow Anchor, you cannot search a same spell that you have in your graveyard. So this is also why it's very important to set the activation order to manual, because otherwise you might not be able to choose to activate Shizuku's effect first, because both Shizuku and Multiroll activate during the end phase. So by enabling that setting, you are allowed to choose to use whichever effect you like first. So this is the reason why you can choose to go Shizuku to add the Widow Anchor and then activate the Widow Anchor before you activate the Multiroll at the very last step. So that's a mouthful, basically. What we achieve is we set the Widow Anchor. So of course we're playing against a bot just for demonstration purposes, so not a lot we can showcase after turn 1. So this is usually where you you survive turn 2 and then you crack their board turn 3. So for example, Jamming Waves destroys their spells and traps, and then Afterburners destroys their monsters. So we're going to use all of those spells to destroy everything our opponent has. Our opponent doesn't really have a lot of things for us to destroy, so we're just going to destroy the only set back row that they still have left. And then we now have the objective of having enough battle damage. So we can do that by using Zeke to send a card to the graveyard to make it 25, and then normal summoning any Sky Striker which has 15, and then we can attack, and that will be exactly lethal. Okay, now that we've played one, we've showcased what the deck can do, let's play one game in Legend Ranked against a good deck. Our opponent's playing Red Dragon Archfiend, which is a tier 3 deck, I think, at the time of recording. And even against a competitive meta deck, we can still make something happen. Going second is not ideal. Going first is not ideal because we don't have that many interruptions when we go first. The most we could do is 2 set Widow Anchors, which might be enough, maybe. We can try. So we're gonna just link off and make a Kagari after we search, and add back the Engage, and activate Engage a second time, adding a second copy of the Widow Anchor, and then drawing a card as well, because we have 3 spells in the graveyard. We can now make a Shizuku, set 2 Widow Anchors, and we cannot do the Shizuku combo this time, but that's fine because we already have way more than we need. We already have the 2 Widow Anchors, we don't have to rely on the Shizuku Shuffle to get into our second Widow Anchor. So our opponent will just combo off, we're gonna let him, and one annoying thing that he immediately did is he sent a copy of Tuning Gum to the graveyard. So this card says, let's quickly read it, if we target a Synchro monster that he controls, he can banish this card from the graveyard to negate the activation, but it doesn't destroy the card. So what that basically means is that usually you want to use your Widow Anchors to get rid of the Synchro monsters, but because they have the Synchro Gum, we cannot do that. So instead, the next best thing we can do is to try to get rid of their tuners to prevent them to make bigger Synchro monsters. So we're gonna still let them make a Scar Dragon Archfiend. I'm not too scared of that card, but we will steal the level 1 tuner, because otherwise he will be able to make the level 9 Red Dragon Abyss, and then that can negate one of our spells, and then when we try to negate, if we try to negate that monster when it comes out, he can negate with Shooting Gum, and then we will basically be out of interruption. So we have to prevent them from making the level 9 Synchro. So even though stealing a monster that early will turn off our second Widow Anchor because we now have a monster in our main monster zone, but we still have to do it because otherwise we will just lose to the Synchro monster that he will be able to make. And also by doing that, we prevent him from performing a Synchro Summon, which will allow him to add the trap card back to his hand. But now he is forced to kind of use his skill to summon a Synchro monster in face down, which is not a Synchro Summon and will not trigger the trap card. So he will be using the effect of the Synchro monster to destroy all of my monsters, which is a good thing because now I can use my Widow Anchor again because he destroyed the Resonator that I stole. And even though Ray comes back in our main monster zone, what we can do is go Ray Tribute itself for cost as Chainlink 1, and then Chainlink to activate the Widow Anchor to steal because we no longer have a monster in the main monster zone. We're gonna get rid of his tuner. Again, we're gonna try to stop him from making his Synchro monsters if we can. And also if we get this to the graveyard, it's very bad because he gets to summon another guy from the extra deck and also destroy all attack position monsters that I have. So we're gonna do as much as we can to prevent him from Synchro summoning. And we're gonna make a Kaina to prevent him from attacking. He can of course negate that with Tuning Gum. He can also choose to negate with Fiendish Chain if he wants to, because he set that off his skill. Fiendish Chain going second is usually very good for his deck, because he can immediately set the Fiendish Chain to negate one of my monsters, but because we're playing Sky Strikers, none of our monsters are really worth negating, so he's just gonna save the Fiendish Chain for next turn, but we can still destroy it before we summon any monsters anyway. So we can summon the Rose, but it gets destroyed, and then he gets back the monster that I stole. And at that, during the end phase, it might sound really bad because all of our cards in our hand doesn't really do anything. It destroys his things, but I don't really get to summon anything. Like, it doesn't help me put monsters on my board. But don't forget that multi-roll is on our field, so this card is really broken if your opponent doesn't get rid of it, which he didn't, so we get to, during the end phase, set back 2 spells that we have in our graveyard, and then we kind of like shuffle their positions, but that doesn't really matter too much. So we get to use our engage to search whatever we're missing, and then draw a card as well. So as you can see, we have a lot of cards in our hand, and now we can start to like spam out all of our spells that we have accumulated over the 2 turns that we had, and start to get rid of every single card on the field. So we're gonna first destroy the Phoenix Chain, and then destroy the set monster. Because Afterburners can only destroy face-up monsters, but the bonus effect of Jamming Waves can destroy any monster. So that's why we use the Jamming Wave to destroy the set, and then use the Afterburners to destroy a face-up monster. So we're gonna use that to destroy one of the Synchros, and then destroy the Crimson guy as well as the bonus effect. We're gonna use the Widow Anchor to steal his monster, and then we're just gonna normal summon a copy of Ray, and we can just attack for game, because Shark Cannon says when you summon it from your opponent's graveyard, that monster cannot attack. But Widow Anchor allows you to attack with the monster that you stole. So we can just go to battle and punch, and then we just win. Even if we can't attack, it's still fine, because we can still make Zeke and then banish his Link monster. And then we can just win using the method that we did in the previous game against the bot. So that's basically how you play this deck. You kind of want to accumulate a lot of advantage using multi-roll if you go first. And if you go second, you just activate a lot of spells, get rid of everything that your opponent has, and then you kind of summon your own monsters or steal your opponent's monsters, and then you just are able to make your Link monsters and then attack full game after they have no monsters left on their field. So basically that's how the deck functions. I hope you've learned something or found this video helpful if you haven't played this deck before. I don't know if I've been talking too much or too little. This deck is quite complicated, and there's a lot of things that you have to be wary about. Not only do you have to know about like the interactions of like the field spell and your monsters and multi-roll and Shizuku, but also just using your spells in the most optimal way, and searching the most optimal spells off of engage is also really strong. And also, like, there is no linear combo. A lot of things can change depending on the matchup. So the best advice I can give you is to just play more games, practice more, and then you will be rewarded after you have a lot more of an understanding of not only your deck, but also the decks that your opponent can be playing, so that you can prepare for different matchups that you will be facing in PvP games. So yeah, that's basically it. That will be the end of the 2 video series of me covering the free campaign decks that you get from the Franco campaign. I don't know if I'm gonna cover the Rush deck, because it's just like Galaxy. I don't know if there's a lot of people who are interested in that. Maybe I will still cover it, because I know that some people only play Duel Links to play Rush. So maybe I'll cover that pretty soon. But for now, that's pretty much it. Again, reminder, I will be redeeming codes in a few days. So if you haven't already, go to the link to video in the description or the link, pinned comment. Go and post your code, and I will try to redeem as much as I could. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.